let's talk about John Fuda. You guys already know about his arrest and whatever else. But let's also talk about something a little bit less conspicuous, I guess, if you want to call it that. I don't even know what to call it. So it's a divorce case, and normally these things are not public because why would they be, right? But this is public because it went to the appellate division. The appellate division is the court that hears cases when you appeal a lower court's decision. So this was a divorce proceeding between his parents, and it was decided, the opinion was written on March 28th, 1990. And it gave background about the divorce and everything. I'm not going to go into the divorce itself because, look, the majority of divorces are messy. People sling mud at each other, whatever. It's normal, so it's not even something to raise your eyebrows about. The reason why I am bringing it up is because of one thing only. The part that I thought that was very interesting was that his father demanded that his mother no longer use the name Teresa. So what happened was, during the original court proceeding for the divorce, the father had requested that she not use the Teresa surname, the last name. They also talk about the Fuda tiles and separation of property and, the agreement and the settlement between both parties and bankruptcy court and debts and all this other stuff. But again, what I found interesting was the whole name part. In the appellate division's court's opinion, they stated, normally this is like so petty, we would not even address this, and it's not something that we would even like litigate or whatever. But for the fact that his mom was so vicious, and as evidence, his father has submitted a letter that his mother wrote to his father's new wife. And in the letter, she wrote, Mrs. John Teresa number 2. She addressed it to Mrs. John Teresa number 3. The judge who wrote the opinion even mentions that the mother had written this nasty, vile letter where she is like harassing his new wife, and there's a whole bunch of subparts with child support and travel expenses and debt and the $80,000 as well as the $17,500 and the Fuda tiles. And he was not allowed to open up another business to compete with Fuda tiles within a 7-mile radius. The one part that the judge decided in his father's favor was in regards to the name. What was originally agreed upon was that she would not use the Teresa last name as far as like business goes. Like she would not use it in any like business dealing or whatever. The appellate division, when they wrote the opinion, they stated that since she was like just so vicious to his new wife, that they were going to grant in favor on that part about the name in favor of the defendant, which is his father, and that they were going to enforce it in full capacity, that she was not allowed to use that last name at all, that she must go back to her original maiden name. So that part is just really interesting because he stated himself, he always thought his name was Fuda, which again doesn't really jive with what's out there because, obviously he knew what the hell his last name was. He didn't legally change his last name until he was an adult. But it is interesting because I'm sure throughout the years, his mother probably had bitched about the fact that his father, made her not even be able to keep the last name, and, to spite him. I am pretty sure if she is like that vicious enough where the appellate division is like enforcing something that a lower court didn't even enforce. The lower court never enforced that she could not use the Teresa last name, but what his father has admitted into evidence, the appellate court decided was just so petty and vile that they were like, no, we're going to decide this and we're going to enforce it to the full capacity where she is not allowed to use that last name at all. So basically she had to legally go back to using Fuda, and I felt like that probably had a lot to do with why he feels like he was always a Fuda. Now a lot of people opinionate that it was because he wanted to not be known about his drug past and his arrest. I'm sure that had a lot to do with it also, but I'm also sure that throughout his childhood, he was probably always told by his mom that, you're a Fuda, my last name is Fuda. Guys, we know how petty divorces can be, and this sounds like a very petty divorce. So yeah, there you have it, guys. Teresa versus Teresa.